Dear teachers, welcome to JS in English Learning. We are with Unit 7 of PGTRB. We are discussing the novel Coolie, written by Mulk Anand. And now, who is Mulk Anand? Mulk Anand is considered to be one of the three pillars of Indian novels in English. He is one of the architects of Indian novels in English, along with R.K. Narayan and Raja Rao. So three people are very important for Indian novels in English. The three people are Mulk Anand, then you have R.K. Narayan and Raja Rao. This is in Indian context. Immediately when we think about English novels, who are the four wheels of the English novels as they are popularly known? There are four people who popularized the form called novel in the 18th century. They are Henry Fielding, Samuel Richardson, Lawrence Sterne, and Tobias Smollett. These people are popularly known as the four wheels of the English novel. These informations are often asked in comparative context. அதனால நம்ம வந்து அந்த வெஸ்டர்ன் கண்ட்ரில இருந்தா இங்க வந்துச்சு நாவல் அப்படிங்கிற ட்ரெடிஷன். அதனால நம்ம அந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் இந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் இங்க படிச்சு. Now coming to Mulk Anand. What do we know about Mulk Anand? Mulk Anand was born on December 12, 1905 in Peshawar, which is now in Pakistan. Okay, after partition, Mulk Anand's birthplace is in Pakistan, but still Mulk Anand was in undivided India, pre-independent Indian writer. Okay, and then look at the graduation. He graduated from which college? அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்லாம் கேட்கலாம். He graduated from the Khalsa College, Amritsar, in the year 1924, and then he traveled to the UK for to study at the University College London, and then he also studied in Cambridge University. He completed his PhD in the year 1929. Okay, and then because of family tragedy, he had to return to India. And after returning to India, he was observing what was happening in India, and what he observed in India, that he started writing as novels. His first novel is titled Untouchable. It was published in the year 1935, and it deals with one-day events in the life of the hero, the protagonist. And he was speaking about the concept of untouchable, a practice which was very much present in India. He was actually indirectly attacking the caste system in India. Untouchable is a man of the lower caste. So he was writing about that. The second novel is titled Coolie. It is a story of a 15-year-old boy who becomes a victim of child labor. And the hero of this novel, Munnu, he dies of tuberculosis. And he was he was voicing against child labor. Okay. And then he was part of India's freedom struggle. Okay. And then he was also supporting the Republican cause in the Spanish Civil War. And during World War II, he worked as the scriptwriter for the BBC in London, where he became friend with George Orwell. Hey, you need to know these two people together. When you think about Mulk Anand, you should remember how he was friend with George Orwell. You know what type of writer was George Orwell? George Orwell, the writer, he was a Marxist to the core. At the same time, he was a critic of Marxism. He wrote a very famous political allegory where he criticized the glorious Russian Revolution. What is the novel? Animal Fable. It's titled Animal Farm. And that George Orwell very much influenced Mulk Anand to do a kind of social analysis in his novel. Okay, George Orwell used novel writing as a kind of social analysis, சமூக பகுப்பாய்வுக்கான ஒரு ஆயுதமாக புதினத்தை அவர் கையில் எடுத்திருந்தார். அதே ஒரு விஷயத்தை யாரும் உள்வாங்கினாரு? முல்க்ராஜ் ஆனந்தும். ஒரு சமூக பகுப்பாய்வு. He was analyzing the society using the tool called novel. And then he also wrote other novels like The Village, published in 1939, Across the Black Waters, 1940, and then The Sword and the Sickle, 1942, and The Private Life of an Indian Prince, 1953. And then after touring some time in the West, he came back to India in 1946 and settled down in Mumbai. And he became the founder of the magazine called Marg. M-A-R-G. What do you mean by Marg? A pathway. Okay, and became the director of Kudum Publishers. Yeah, and he also was a lecturer in various universities, and he was appointed as the chairman of Lalit Kala Academy, which was an art academy from the year 1965 to 1970. And then he passed away on September 28, 2004. Okay, and then we need to know a few other information. Who was the mentor and the friend of Mulkraj Anand? E.M. Forster. Do you remember E.M. Forster? What is E.M. Forster known for? He wrote a very famous Where Angels Fear to Tread, a very famous novel. And then Eastward.
Passage to India.
What is that, ma'am?
Passage to India.
A Passage to India. Then you have a work called Howard's End. Such great novels were written by E.M. Forster, and he actually acted as a mentor, a guide to Mulkraj Anand. And Mulkraj Anand is known by the title India's Charles Dickens. Now, why was this comparison? Because Charles Dickens was a very bitter critic of industrial England. In England, what was the problem was industrialization. And because of industrialization, there was a rift between the people in the society. One was the rich, the other one is the poor. This divide was very much felt, and he started focusing on how poor people suffered because of the indifference of the rich people. So he was also using novel as a social analysis. He was on the side of the downtrodden people, the marginalized people, the untouchables in England were the working class people. Inge Mulkraj Anand was also analyzing a society which was caste ridden. Okay, so that is why Mulkraj Anand is called Indians Charles Dickens, the Charles Dickens of India. Okay, now we are going to see the novel. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to get back with another file. Dear teachers, we are about to get into the narrative of the novel Coolie, which was published by Mulkraj Anand. And this novel was published in the year 1956. And this novel speaks about a young boy named Munnu. And Munnu is the protagonist of this novel. Okay, when the novel opens, we come to know that Munnu is in the care of his uncle and aunt. And then we delve into the past of Munnu. Why Munnu is in the care of his uncle and aunt. And when the novel begins, he is aged 14. And when the novel ends, he is 15. Okay, this difference you need to know. Okay, he is in age 14 when the novel begins, and 1 year, okay, in 1 year gap, what happens in his life is narrated in Coolie. Okay, now who are the other characters? Who is Munnu's uncle? Munnu's uncle is a person by name Daya Ram. And then we have other characters. The characters are Babu Nathu Ram. Who is this Babu Nathu Ram? I've been getting, he is the first employee of Munnu, and this man is a sub-accountant of the Imperial Bank. And you have BBG, a character, and this lady is the wife of Babu Nathu Ram. And then you have the other characters like Sethu Prabha Dayal. Okay, Seth Prabhu Dayal, who is the owner of the pickle factory, and this man is the second employer of Munnu. Okay, and then we find there is an antagonist in that particular episode, Ganpat, who is Prabha's partner, but a very cruel man, a cunning man who is actually usurping the pickle factory from Sethu Prabha or Seth Prabha Dayal. And then you find in this episode, there is a friend for Munnu. The name of the friend is Tulsi. Okay. And then you find there is the next character, the next employee of Munnu is Harihar. Who, when Munnu moves out after the bankruptcy of, say, Prabha Dayal, he has to find job elsewhere. So he ends up in a white cotton mill. And there is an employee. The name of the employee is Harihar. And Harihar's wife is Lakshmi. And there is a supervisor, okay, in that mill. And the name of the supervisor is, okay, Jim Thomas, also known as Chimta Sahib. And the name of the mill is Sir George White Cotton Mills. And then you have a friend for Munnu, a senior friend. The name is Ratan, okay, who is a wrestler. And then in the novel, you have a character by name Mrs. Mainwaring, an Anglo-Indian character who becomes the last employee of Munnu. Shall we get into the narrative, teachers? Yeah. As we go, we will be introduced into the major problems, the important informations which are vital for the exam that you are preparing for. Now, we come to know, I'm not going to go by the narrative. I'm going to put it in a way you can easily grasp the story. Okay. Munnu's father, what do we come to know about him? He was once a farmer and his profession was agriculture. And we come to know that he borrowed money from the landlord in Bilaspur. And he was unable to pay money. Because he was unable to pay money, the Bilaspur landlord took away all the farmland and cattle for the debt that the father was supposed to pay. And when this particular incident took place, father became heartbroken and the father of Munnu died. Okay, and Munnu had a brother by name Dayaram, and we are not given much information about Dayaram, but we only know that this fellow, at the age of 14, a tragedy struck again, that Munnu's mother died, and Munnu was left to the care of, okay, Munnu's uncle was Dayaram. Now we find that Dayaram was Munnu's uncle, and this man was working in Imperial Bank. And what was the profession? That may be the question for your exam. Okay, and this man was working as a chaprasi. What is the work of a chaprasi? An office messenger or a doorman, a peon. You can call it in English parlance. Maybe one of the last employees, a lower cadre employee. And now what do we know? That Dayaram goes to a place called Bilaspur, and from Bilaspur, since he is married and he finds that this fellow is very, very mischievous, so the wife and the husband, the wife is very angry with the boy Munnu, and she starts telling her husband to send this boy away. And so Dayaram is very loving, but he cannot um, he cannot go against his wife. So he takes Munnu to a place called Sham Nagar, where there is a bank. Okay, and they walk some 10 miles to reach Sham Nagar bank. And there in Sham Nagar bank, they meet a person by name Babu Nathu Ram, who is holding the position of a sub-accountant. Babu Nathu Ram is working as a sub-accountant, and this fellow is in need of a boy servant, okay, because he cannot pay much. So he is looking for a boy servant who can be employed for 3 rupees salary. And Dayaram sends Munnu to that job, and the first salary that this boy is going to receive is 3 rupees. Okay, and in the house of Munnu experiences a lot of hatred, because BBG is unhappy with Munnu because she at times gets into conflict with BB's children. Okay, so often she starts reprimanding him. Okay, and at one point of time, one of the girl children is attacked by Munnu, and Munnu is being sent out. And now Munnu reaches a railway station. Okay, and there in the railway station, he meets a man by name Seth Prabha Dayal, who takes pity on Munnu and takes him to a place called Daulatpur. You'll be watching that this boy is moving to different places. You know what type of novel that speaks about a boy moving from one place to the other and ending up as a mature individual? It's called Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman, a novel form which evolved in Germany. A novel which follows the journey of an immature man from his childhood onwards till he becomes mature. But in the story, there is no possibility for this character to become mature. It's only a tale of suffering. Okay, and then you find that Seth Prabhadayal takes him to Daulatpur, and there in Daulatpur, Munnu comes to know that Seth Prabhadayal is owning a large pickle factory, and there Munnu befriends a person by name Tulsi, and he becomes comfortable. And Munnu works very hard for Dayal, and Dayal also takes care of him. And in that particular factory, there is a man by name Ganpat, and Ganpat, okay, is in charge of collecting money. And Ganpat collects 800 rupees. Okay, but what does he do with the money? Okay, he is a trusted person, almost a friend like to Prabha, and Prabha trusts Ganpat, and he asked him to collect money. This fellow collects money, and what does he do? He spends that money on women and returns only with rupees 50. Okay, and then when the money is asked, what happened to the rest of the money? This Ganpat starts spreading rumor, okay, that Prabha was abusing the customers. And later, because of the actions of Ganpat, you find that this character, Dayal, becomes bankrupt. And in between, there is a character called Thodarmal. Okay, Thodarmal, who is a man who is trying to, who is trying to get a lot of things done from Seth Prabha Dayal. But it is not that character Thodarmal who is the enemy, but it is Ganpat, the enemy. Okay, are you there, teachers? Did you follow the narration?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and we find that after being bankrupt, you find that Seth Prabha Dayal is arrested, and Munnu and Tulsi, they go to the police station and they try to release the master, but nothing could be done. And then you find that Munnu and Tulsi, they start working in a grain market where they earn very little. And we come to know that in the story that Prabha is released, but because of the heavy debt, he is forced to sell his factory, and he has to pay the debt. And because they are completely in debt, they are not able to take care of Munnu. So with a heavy heart, they have to ask Munnu to move out. So with the rupee, okay, Munnu has to be moving out of that city. As he moves out, he looks at an advertisement of a circus called Tarabai, and he goes to the circus, but he doesn't have much money. There he befriends an elephant driver who becomes his guide. Munnu convinces the elephant driver. What is the name of elephant driver in English? Do you call it as Mahout?
Mahout.
Okay. Yeah, Mahout. Is the spelling right, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Mahout takes pity on this fellow, Munnu, and he takes him, okay, to the railway station. And there you find he takes a train and goes to Mumbai, and he starts exploring. And as he goes there in Mumbai, there is a graphic detail, realistic description of persons and places in this novel. Okay, he finds a girl struck in the middle of the road, and he tries to rescue the girl. And the girl's parents are introduced in the novel. They are Harihar and Lakshmi. They are the parents of the girl who was struck, who was rescued by Munnu, and they take him to a textile. And there is a man by name Chimta Sahib, that is Jim Thomas. He agrees to employ Munnu in the factory for 15 rupees salary per month. Okay, look at the factory and how people are employed for very cheap labor. Okay, and what is the job of that is interested to Munnu? He was supposed to untie the thread. Okay, and there in the factory there is an employee by name Ratan. He's a very hard worker, and this Ratan is a wrestler. Okay, he's a wrestler. I have not put it here. You can add it. Okay, he was a wrestler. Okay, he's a wrestler. Okay, or nalla body built, well built, and the appearance of this man very much impresses Munnu. So he becomes a very close friend of Ratan. And there is a conflict between Ratan and Chimta Sahib. You know, when there is a factory, there will be always a conflict between the workers and the owners. Such problem also emerges there. And you find that Ratan is thrown out of his job, and there is a strike. Okay. At the same time, what are the other things that happen? There are rumors that spread that Hindu children are often kidnapped by Muslims. Why does the author bring this information? To show how there is a communal jeopardy, a communal prejudice which was present in India. He wanted to present everything in a novel. Okay, these are how rumors are spread and how the rulers divide Indians and how they were ruling Indians. Okay, and then you find the coolies, they fight with each other. The strikers, the people who went on a strike, they started fighting with each other. Hindus started attacking the Muslims, and Muslims started attacking the Hindus. And amidst that particular struggle, Munnu gets wounded on the head. But he is saved by the Social Service League, who give him first aid. And after gaining conscience, we find that this man is moving in the road, and unexpectedly he is hit by a car. And who was driving the car? There is a Anglo-Indian lady. The name of the lady is Mrs. Main Warning. Okay, she is from Darjeeling, and this lady wants to be an independent lady. Okay, and she takes pity on Munnu, and she takes him to Simla and takes good care of him. And when he recovers, she employs him as a servant and a rickshaw puller. In India, there was the habit of um, great men or rich men being pulled by rickshaw pullers. It is human beings who have to do the role of pulling the rickshaws. And because of the climate, Munnu gets affected in the lungs. He contracts tuberculosis. Okay, and he falls sick. And Mrs. Warning is very concerned about Munnu's health. She calls Dr. Major Merchant, and this man says that this fellow is suffering with tuberculosis. He has to take complete rest. And we come to know that Munnu desires to reach Bombay to meet Ratan. Okay, but his health is deteriorating. There in Simla, he has befriended a boy by name Mohan, who has become a very close friend. And the life of this boy comes to an end at the age of 15. And questions will be asked on whose lap he died. He died in the lap of his friend called Mohan. Did you get that story, teachers? I knew